Hello, everybody, and either welcome or welcome back to my podcast. As always, I want to remind everybody, if you do like this, please rate, comment, and subscribe. You can find me on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Okay, so you've seen the title of this week's episode, and unless you've been living under a rock, you can pretty well guess what this is going to be about. But I have a lot of thoughts about libertarianism lately. Not that that's anything new, but I have a lot of stuff that I want to say that I kind of want to get off my chest, so I decided to go ahead and make this episode, and hopefully you won't hate me by the end of it. And I'll go ahead and warn you off the rip, I'm already in kind of a bit of a mood today anyway, so I don't know how this is going to turn out, and I don't know how long this episode's going to be, because like I said, I do have a lot of things I want to say, and I got some stuff that I want to talk about, so I'm going to talk about it to you, because that's what we're here for. So let's start at the beginning of things that have set me off recently. And that's I don't know if you guys spend as much time on Twitter as I do, but Roaming Millennial had actually tweeted out a clip of an upcoming video of hers where she's talking about libertarians and basically getting it completely fucking wrong. But I'm going to go ahead and link in the show notes Liberty Doll's response video, because she pretty much covers all the high points and I don't really need to rehash what she said because she already did a pretty good job of it. But it does bring me back to this thing I've been in this movement for so long, and this is going to be an I'm so old joke, but I'm so old that I can remember the past couple of times this has come up, and it's something that seems to pop up every couple of years or so. And that's the whole idea that libertarians are Republicans who want XYZ, which, pro tip, don't ever call a libertarian a Republican or a conservative. We get real pissed about that. But the line right now, at least as far as the Roaming Millennial video is concerned, is that libertarians are Republicans who want to legalize weed and prostitution, which, hey, we've come far. It used to just be libertarians are Republicans who want to legalize weed. At least now we get weed and prostitution. And I want to go ahead and take a moment to give a round of applause to the Libertarian Party. They just ended their convention, and they did vote during the convention to make the decriminalization of sex work an actual party platform. So, round of applause for that, but we'll discuss some more of that later. But it's just this, I see it pop up every now and again, and I'm starting to see a lot on Twitter, these really stupid straw man arguments against libertarianism, and it's like, every so often, it's like, it goes in waves. Like, people just start this up, and I don't know, like, where it comes from or who starts it, but I'm starting to see a lot of it lately, and it's just, it's irritating the shit out of me, honestly. Because libertarianism, obviously, everybody listening to this podcast, I would assume knows, goes a little beyond just being people who want to legalize weed and prostitution. And another thing that kind of set me off, as far as the Roaming Millennial video, is the comment that, like, why don't libertarians care more about things like the economy? And I'm like, what the fuck? Wait, we're the only people left that care about the economy. Like, we're it. Democrats don't care. Republicans don't care. Nobody else cares about the deficit. Nobody else cares about putting out a budget. We are the only people left that give a shit about the economy. Like, we are the people that read econ books for fun. This is our idea of a good time. We made t-shirts talking about tariffs. That's all we care about is the fucking economy. And also other social issues. But this idea that somebody could say, why don't libertarians care about the economy, was just like mind-blowing to me. Like, what libertarians are you talking to where this isn't a discussion? But yeah, that just blew my mind that anybody could say something like that with a straight face. And I kind of want to pivot back to the idea of libertarians are Republicans who want to legalize weed and prostitution. Because when it's said as kind of an insult, it's kind of in this vein of trying to say that libertarians are just a bunch of hedonists who just want to get high and fuck all day, which, okay, but the whole reason that we advocate for these things, and again, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, is it goes a little deeper than that. It goes to the concepts of self-ownership and private property. And the reason that we advocate for these things is not because necessarily that you want to partake in them. In fact, I actually found a lot of people on my timeline when this kind of blew up, who took the stance that they're not interested in doing this. Like, they don't want to do weed, they don't want to do any of this, they don't want to do drugs, they don't want to do any of that. But of course they want to see it legalized because it's everybody's individual right to decide what they do and do not want to do with their body. And I'm trying to figure out kind of how to go about maybe making this message a little more clear to people who are apparently not getting why we advocate for the things that we advocate for. That it's not just like a surface issue, it's something that goes all the way to the core of our beliefs and the core of what we believe people have the right to do. And while we're on the topic of figuring out how to best convey our beliefs, another thing that I really am trying to figure out a way to convey to non-libertarians is the fact that we care about a very broad range of issues. It's not just one issue or two issues. I mean, criminal justice reform, Title IX, legalizing sex work. I mean, the edition, the digital edition, you guys can't get it on newsstands yet, of Reason Magazine, the cover story is the pros and cons of abolishing the cash bail system. Like, there's a lot here that we care deeply about, and that we do care deeply about it. It's not just us being selfish bastards wanting things for ourselves. It's like we want these things for everybody. Like, we want to just hand out liberty, like Oprah's handing out cars. Like, you get liberty, you get liberty, you get liberty. And I'm trying to figure out, like, ways in which we can convey that to people who don't already know that. And that might be something upcoming that, cause like I said, I've been thinking about it, and if I come up with any kind of like good ways to do it, I'll certainly let you guys know. Like, I'll do an episode about it, or if you guys have any ideas, tweet them at me. We can talk about it. But yeah, I think we need to get better at conveying who we are as a group of people. Just in general, we need to get the message out there better than we apparently are right now. Okay, so to move on from that into what I'm sure will definitely be the more controversial parts of this podcast. I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, you know what's going on as far as Tom Woods deciding that he's going to go join the Libertarian Party to join the Mises Caucus, which means Dave Smith did it, which means Mance Rayder did it, which means a whole bunch of other people are going to rush to do it. And I've got thoughts, obviously, but also warnings, and just this is the part of the stuff I want to get off my chest, because I'm not down with this idea, and there's a lot of different reasons. So I want to go ahead and start with the idea that kind of like the contrast between politics and principles. And my feeling about that is that politics is where principles go to die. I'm not, in case I didn't make it abundantly clear last week, politics is dirty business. Like, it's nasty, filthy stuff, and it's just, honestly, I have neither the heart nor the stomach to participate in it, to be completely honest. Like, I want nothing to do with party politics. I want nothing to do with election politics. It's just so, especially nowadays, it's just so ugly and just so negative, and I can't do it. Like, at this point, I'm just like, I want nothing to do with it. And that's my stance on that. And it's a very lonely stance right now. I'm just kind of over here on my own little island all by myself. If any of you want to come join me on my island, I would like somebody to talk to about this. Because as it seems right now, everybody's rushing to join the Libertarian Party and rushing to join the Mises Caucus. And I'm just kind of like, I think I'm going to sit this one out, guys. That's not really like my style of political activism. Like, this right here is my style of political activism. I like talking about it. I don't want to be involved in like a party apparatus, though. Like, that's a whole nother ball of wax. And speaking about the Libertarian Party, basically, I think, well, I mean, I get what people are doing. Like, and it's not that I don't support it. I mean, I have nothing against the Libertarian Party. I have nothing against the Mises Caucus. I mean, I wish you all the best of luck. I hope you're successful in doing what you're trying to do. But I think there is kind of like that disconnect of not entirely understanding what party politics is and what the Libertarian Party is supposed to do. And that is basically the same thing that the DNC and the RNC does, which is not necessarily to advocate for any one particular brand of Democrat or Republican, but it's to do the nuts and bolts things. It's to find candidates. It's to fund them. It's to help them run, get elected, stuff like that. And that's it. That's what a political party is supposed to do. And it's not really something where every party has a platform and you do advocate for certain things, but it's not like an advocacy organization. It's something that is looking at things purely from a political perspective versus principles. And I think that's where a lot of the people in the Mises Caucus have a problem with this. But that's their job. It's their job to look at whatever city, state, country, look at it and be like, okay, what candidates can we put up that are going to have the best chance of winning? I know we're not winning, but that have the best chance of getting votes. That's the concern. It's not about pushing an agenda. It's about who is going to get the most votes. I mean, at this point, politics is basically a glorified popularity contest. I saw the other day, somebody had done a poll where people actually said that Obama was the greatest president ever. And I'm just like, by what fucking metric could you possibly say that that man was the best president ever? But it drives home the fact that it doesn't matter what you do. It matters how you make people feel and whether people like you or not. And that's another reason why I don't really like to participate in politics, because I hate that. I fucking hate that it's all about how you make people feel now, not about actual principles or making people think or anything like that. It's all about just making people feel happy, and you say the nice words in the right arrangement, and then people love you no matter what you're doing. I mean, you could be bombing the shit out of a country, and as long as you're doing it with a smile on your face and if you read off the teleprompter nice, people think you're a great president. And then kind of branching off that idea a little bit about another reason that I don't really want to be involved in politics is, yes, this is not the worst time ever for politics, but it seems to me right now that the political process just seems to bring out the worst in people. Just all the nastiness, all the negativity, all the tribalism, just all the bullshit. And I'm not that person. I don't want to deal with that. I want to bring people together. I don't want people to divide up into little groups and fight each other. That's not what I want. And I don't want to participate in that. And that's really what it seems politics is now. It's just everybody having their little team and dividing off and fighting each other. And I have neither the heart nor the stomach for that. It's not who I am. It's not what I want to do. So that's another reason. And then the last reason that I'll give before wrapping it up and pivoting to something else is I have absolutely zero faith in the political process not taking everything it touches and turning it to complete shit, which is exactly what it seems to do now. We talk about how over-politicized everything is now and how it's just making society just this awful cesspool of just everything being, oh my God, we have to politicize this and we have to politicize that. And I don't want anything to do with it. And everybody wants to bring up Ron Paul right now. And to me, I love Dr. Paul, don't get me wrong. He's the one that actually made me figure out what a libertarian is. I think I was a libertarian before that. I just didn't realize that libertarians existed. And I was like, oh, I'm that thing. Okay. But just seeing what happened to him, especially with the whole newsletter thing and all that shit. But I use that example to try to kind of give a warning that this is the political machine. This is the sausage getting made. There's people on every campaign whose whole job is to dig up shit about other people from no matter how long ago it was, to smear them, to slander them, to try to discredit them. And it's just, like I said, it's an ugly process. And it just tears people down. And it's It's something that I would never engage in. You will never find my ass running for public office. Never. Because I don't want to subject myself to that. I certainly wouldn't want to subject the people I love to that. And that's what it is now. It's just everybody being negative, and instead of actually trying to run as like a standalone person, just like on your own merits, everything's about tearing down your opponents. And it's just, I don't want any part of it. I'm sorry if that disappoints anybody, but I don't want anything to do with it. Mises Caucus, pitch me. See if you can come up with some kind of explanation as to why I would want to be involved in a process that I find so repugnant. Like, if you can come up with a good, something for me to consider, I will gladly consider it. But as it stands right now, no, I'm not joining the Libertarian Party. I'm not joining the Mises Caucus. I'm not getting involved in any of that. But to move on to something that I will gladly get involved in, and that is the intersection of politics versus culture. Now, this is my idea. If you believe that politics is a lagging indicator of culture, which I do believe that, I think that maybe where our focus should be is trying to influence culture instead of trying to influence politics, and then just kind of drag politics kicking and screaming behind us. And it pains me to say this. It hurts, but I gotta give credit to the left. They got it right. They figured that out. They figured out that if you can change the culture, you can change the political landscape. And where they kind of fucked up at this point is they went a little too far. And that's kind of a discussion that's a little beyond the scope of what I want to talk about today, but I will be talking about that in the future. But I think that now, especially, would be a great time for libertarians to start getting out there and promoting libertarianism, not just through politics, but actually in culture, because I think that's where we can make the most impact. Especially since it's like, there seems to be this void out there right now where it's like, okay, people don't like Trump because obvious reasons, he's a fucking asshat. And then you don't have the other side of this, which is Democrats, which nobody seems to be able to figure out who the hell they want to be. And rising in that is the idea of socialism, for fuck's sake, which, if socialism can somehow in 2018 gain a foothold, then I'm pretty damn sure libertarianism can too. If we can just get out there and just tell people about it. And I think that's where all of us come in. All of us who create any kind of content, whether you're making podcasts, you tweet, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you do whatever it is you do, you write articles, you go on television. I think this is where we should be really, really focusing. Because, I mean, you can run all the political candidates you want. If you don't have voters, it doesn't matter. And I don't think the way we get voters is through running particular political candidates or not. Because, first off, when you're a political candidate, you don't really get to do, like, long-form discussion. You're basically talking in sound bites. You've got, 30 seconds on television. You've got X amount of time in a debate. And it's not something where you really just get to sit down for half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, however long you want to go, and really kind of expound libertarian values. That's what we can do, though. So I encourage anybody out there who is thinking about making content, go ahead and do it. Like, start a podcast. It's not that hard. Like, my dumb ass can do it, so it can't be that hard. But yeah, if you do that, like, tweets, write on Facebook, like, do whatever it is that you feel most comfortable in whatever kind of environment and whatever kind of, like, medium works best for you. Just get out there and start doing it and start talking about it, because I think that's really how this needs to go down. It's like, you gotta get the voters first, and then once you get the voters, then we can concentrate on getting them people to vote for. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's like we gotta get the people in here first. Like, you gotta get them over here, and then be like, hey, we have these candidates for you to go vote for. And on the topic of candidates, and like I said earlier, I love Dr. Paul. He's done fantastic things for the Libertarian Party and for the Liberty Movement. But this time around, I think we really need to make sure that the message isn't necessarily confined around one person or one group of people like we kind of did with Dr. Paul and the Tea Party. Not saying that we didn't all gain something from that, but then when Dr. Paul retired and then the Tea Party kind of fell off, the message kind of fell off because they weren't there anymore. So doing it this way, doing it through the culture instead of doing it through politics, I think can make something a little more durable and lasting, because in that way it kind of doesn't matter who's giving the message. As long as the message can stand, if somebody leaves, then that's I think really what we need to focus on, just making sure that the message isn't entirely dependent on the messenger. Okay, now to do something of a medium to hard pivot off the idea of screwing up, is I want to kind of address this issue as far as infighting within the Libertarian Party. And I'm going to go ahead and preface this by saying, I can get along with damn near anybody. I like all y'all. My big L's, my small L's, my minarchists, my anarchists, even you squishes. I like all y'all. The only people I don't like are ANCOMs and these libertarian socialists. And it's not that I hate them. I just think y'all are really confused about what's going on here. But I don't think that infighting is a good look. I take the Michael Malice stance on this, in that you don't attack your own. And it's not to say that you can't have disagreements and you can't have arguments and discussions with people inside your party that you may not necessarily disagree with, but you don't attack people in your own party. We don't have the kind of numbers to start alienating each other. But I say that to kind of get to the current situation as has been unfolding ever since, right after the LP conference and the Human Action Bash ended. And this kind of goes back a little bit further than that. And that's this kind of weird pissing contest, for lack of a better phrase, between Sarwalk and Tom Woods. And for what it's worth, Team Tom. But it kind of leading up to Tom announcing that he's joining the LP is, I guess somebody had asked Sarwalk, something about why Tom couldn't be chair or something along those lines. And Nick had kind of said back that, well, to the best of my knowledge, Tom's never been a dues-paying member of the LP. And so basically, Tom was just challenge accepted, bitch, and join the Libertarian Party. Which, okay, that's cool. You can do whatever you want. And for what it's worth, at this point, because the way I kind of took it when I first saw it was that this was kind of Tom's way of saying that he plans to challenge Nick for LP chair. And Tom has come out and said that he doesn't plan on doing that. And I'm okay, but 2020 is a long time away and things might change. But at any rate, it's obvious that with Tom joining the LP and the Mises Caucus and everybody else joining behind him, obviously Tom Woods is going to endorse somebody other than Nick Sarwalk for LP chair. And that's going to be a very, very big deal, because that's going to carry a lot of weight within the party and without people who aren't actually part of the Libertarian Party. So, okay, this is interesting. And the other interesting thing is obviously the ripple effect that this has had, because obviously, I already mentioned, Tom Woods joined, and then Dave Smith went and joined, and Mance Rayder went and joined, and I see a bunch of other people on my timeline either having already joined the LP to join Mises Caucus or are heavily thinking about it. I know it's been discussed in a lot of other podcasts about other libertarians. Jason Stapleton joined too, and that's all Mark Claire's fault. But yeah, I've seen it. Well, not seen it. I've heard it discussed amongst a lot of other podcasts about who is, who isn't, who's thinking about it, who's not thinking about it. So I think this is going to be kind of an ongoing wave thing where you're still going to see maybe some people who are on the fence right now may do it. Some people may stay out. I've seen actually a lot of people who I expected to hear an opinion on this particular topic not give one, which I think at this point, it seems to be all libertarians want to talk about. So to me, silence is an interesting response. I will take that as a no, but it's just interesting that there are certain people that have said absolutely nothing on the topic. But to bring it back a little bit to the topic of infighting and disagreeing with people without attacking them, I would be remiss, and everybody would hold my feet to the fire if I didn't, talk about the Matt Welch Reason piece on the LP convention overall, with the headline that the Mises Caucus was repudiated. Because obviously Sarwalk won in kind of a landslide. Like, I'm not surprised that the man won, but I'm kind of surprised by how much he won and that he won first ballot. But Alex Merced actually did end up getting vice chair, and Jason, whose last name I can never remember to save my life, the guy that was actually challenging Nick from the Mises Caucus for LP chair, got an at-large position. So there are actual members of the Mises Caucus within the LP hierarchy, I guess, for lack of a better word, the official hierarchy. And I was kind of thinking about it the other day. I'm fascinated to see how this whole Sarwalk Merced thing's going to go down. But basically, Matt's piece, which, god damn it, Matt, why the fuck did you have to go kick the hornet's nest like this? But it's incorrect, and I don't think he should have wrote it. I don't think that saying that the Mises Caucus was repudiated when they got the vice chair and an at-large, which is more than anyone really expected. I mean, the Mises Caucus isn't that old. Like, I think they're maybe a little over a year old, so to get that much that quick is kind of a big deal. But it obviously set off the Mises Caucus people against reason and against Matt. And like I said, he shouldn't have wrote it. It shouldn't have been slanted that way. And all I gotta say is, God damn it, Matt. Like, why? Why? But yeah, obviously I've read the article. I don't agree with the premise, but there is some rather interesting information within it. I would suggest I'll try to go find it and put it in the show notes, but if you haven't read it, go read it. Even if you're Mises Caucus or Mises Caucus sympathetic, there's information in there, especially how the Praggies are viewing this. And I think it's valuable, like, opposition research and information for you guys to have, so I will try to go seek it for you. But yeah, I don't agree with how it was slanted. And like, I like Matt. I've got no problem with Matt. Matt is my internet friend. But like I said, I can disagree with people without it being a personal attack on them. And that's my piece on that. But to sum up my thoughts on this topic of infighting, I think it's a bad look. I think it's a bad look for anybody who's thinking about coming into libertarianism or actually into the Libertarian Party itself. Like, it would almost be like, I'm sure everybody's seen the gif of the guy carrying the pizza boxes and he walks into the apartment and like everybody's on fire and everybody's running around and he's just got this look on his face like, oh my god, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, it's like, it's not that we can't have disagreements and not that we can't, like, hash those out, but I would really rather, like, hash them out rather than this infighting, talking past each other, talking over each other bullshit that's going on right now. And actually, now that I think about it, maybe I'll join the Libertarian Party and start my own caucus. And it can be let's just all sit down with a couple of drinks and or some other illicit substances and just talk this out. Like, I gotta workshop the name a little more because that's kind of wordy. But I really wish everybody could just come to the table, sit down, and just have a discussion, like, straight up, like, no bullshit, leave the emotions aside, leave all that shit aside, and just have a conversation like adults, just hash out our differences so we can move forward as something of a unified party. And because that's always been the knock against us. It's like, it's the old joke, if you get 10 libertarians in a room, you'll get 11 opinions. And it's true, and that's why it's funny. But I think going forward, at least for the Libertarian Party, to have any kind of chance, and I do think that they do have a chance. Like, it's not that I don't believe in you guys. I do believe in you guys, and I want you to succeed. And that's why I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to give you my opinion so that you can kind of have an idea about how some other people might be approaching this versus the way you're approaching it. If you are somebody who wants to go join the Libertarian Party and join the Mises Caucus, it's like, here's my objections to it. So just take it as, I guess, constructive criticism at this point. And especially the whole Libertarian Party, take this as constructive criticism, but y'all gonna have to get your shit together. Like, that's the only way you're gonna have any kind of success, is if we get our shit together. Okay, so to try to start wrapping this up, here are my bold predictions for going forward. Which actually the first one is not a bold prediction, this is a hard fact. I will be in Austin in 2020. Like, even if I do not join the Libertarian Party, I don't join the Mises Caucus, I stay independent, I will be there. There is no way I am missing this for the world. Obviously, my husband will be there because he has already joined the Libertarian Party and the Mises Caucus, so he will be there. But yes, we will be there. Here's the one that's going to piss everybody off. Bill Weld is going to be the 2020 nominee. Just go ahead and spend the next 2 years just adjusting yourself to that fact. But yeah, he is going to be the nominee. Unless somebody can put up, like, now, like, Mises Caucus, you need to figure out who you want to back for 2020, honestly, in, like, the next 6 months, and start getting that dude out there, because Bill Weld is already, he's already out there. He's already raising money for other candidates. He's already raising money for the LP. He spent the whole convention basically shaking hands and kissing babies, which he hasn't announced that he's going to run, but you don't spend the whole Libertarian Party convention going around talking to people, trying to convince them of your greatness, if you ain't gonna run. I see you, Bill Weld, you're running. Just go ahead and announce it. And at this point, the only other two people who have announced is Adam Kokesh and Aaron Vora, which that is interesting, because basically Aaron got told to get the fuck out of the vice chair, but then at the end of the convention, he announced that he's going to run for the nomination in 2020, and he's already said that if he does, by some magical miracle, become president, that he will give pardons to Ross Ulrich, to Julian Assange, to Edward Snowden, that he will pardon all nonviolent offenders that are currently in prison. So that's kind of the vein he's going in, which, I mean, I don't think he's going to become president, but if that's the platform he's running on, that's going to be incredibly appealing to a lot of people, both inside the Libertarian Party and people who aren't part of the Libertarian Party, but would actually go vote for a candidate like that. So that's why I think you guys really need to get your guy or gal and get them out there like ASAP. And to be fair, a little birdie has told me that that's kind of already in the works, so good luck to you guys. But my last bold prediction is that 2020 is going to be massive for everybody. Because going into it, obviously, you're going to have Trump is going to be the Republican candidate. Democratic candidate, I mean, who the fuck knows at this point? Like, they can't even get their shit together enough to have an identity for midterms, and it's the middle of July. So, what they're gonna do, I mean, they're a dumpster fire right now. Like, they can't figure out who the fuck they want to be, so they're kind of in the same boat, like, you gotta figure your shit out, like, now. But I think this is going to make a huge opportunity for the right Libertarian Party candidate to really, really do something. Like, maybe finally get to, like, that 5%. Or maybe to just be able to, I don't know, get into debates, get on television, to be interviewed as something other than, like, a circus sideshow. But to really, like, really get out there and really do something politically. And I think what we need to focus on is making sure that we are doing everything that we can to try to get the message of liberty and libertarianism out to enough people so that when 2020 comes, that there are going to be enough people who are willing to listen to a Libertarian Party candidate and possibly go vote for them. Like, I think that should be the game plan for the next 2 years. I mean, everybody within the Libertarian Party and the Mises Caucus, sure, pick political candidates, promote whoever you want. I mean, please pick somebody decent for 2020. But over the next 2 years, I think all of us really need to focus on trying to get out the message of libertarianism as best as we individually can. So, those are my thoughts on where we're at right now with libertarianism, with the Libertarian Party. I hope you don't hate me, but if you do like this, please rate, comment, and subscribe. You can find me on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Take care, and until next time.